Hello, everyone. I just had this idea. What if Connery had done a seventh official James Bond film? What if Lazenby had gone on to do a second film? What if Moore had gone on to do an eighth film? What if Dalton got to do a third? What if Brosnan got to do a fifth? And what if Craig got to do a sixth? I like doing this shit. So today, what it's going to be is what if each of these Bond actors had gotten one more film. By the end of this video, I will have determined for myself who should have gotten one more movie and who, thank God, did not do another. Some of these videos that I do, I figure it out as I go along. This one, I know immediately right where everybody goes. So this is no problem. All right, first up, Sean Connery. What if Sean Connery got a seventh movie? Well, he did. Never say never again. No, let me just stop you right there. No. I think I'm going to place Sean Connery. The fact that he did not do another Bond movie, I'm going to call that a bummer. Yeah, there's several other Bonds. It's a bummer they didn't do another Bond movie, but bummer is an understatement. That's why I have two more categories for two other Bonds. The Sean Connery Bond, I wish he hadn't given up so soon. All six of his movies, for one reason or another, I like. All the things that we might consider bad about this era actually just have a way of morphing into charm or subject of intrigue. It's like if you have to mix your Senecot with root beer just to make it more consumable. That's kind of what the last two or three movies of the Connery era are. He's actually a really good comedy Bond. What's interesting to me about this Bond here in Diamonds is the only interpretation we get of Bond in this way. No other Bond is quite like Connery in Diamonds Are Forever. He's not taking it seriously anymore, but he's also not miserable. He's something else. I don't think anybody really wouldn't have liked to have seen a seventh official Sean Connery Bond movie. I wouldn't have minded that whatsoever. Had he been acting like he was in Diamonds, because that is such a gem, I would have been on board to watch that James Bond come back again. Ha 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 ha, George. Well, what a contentious fella. We are at a crossroads here, ladies and gentlemen. Had Lazenby actually ignored his agent and continued on in this role, taken the deal, I think this series would have been hemorrhaging. Once Tracy gets her brains shot out, suddenly the Bond theme kicks in all triumphantly. And it's stuff like this that has always been my problem with Majesties. Pop, 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 pop. It's quite all right. We have all the time in the world. My wife got shot in the head. I don't know about you guys, but whenever a beloved character gets smoked, I don't typically want to celebrate. This is just so tonally off. You know, fuck, I'm surprised they didn't just have the whole production crew start doing the YMCA right there in front of the car with her dead corpse laying in it. They might as well have. Let's sing it for Tracy now. Tracy got smoked. Yeah. Tracy got smoked. If we could look through some sort of window that allowed us to see what Lazenby's second film would have looked like, maybe it would have been fucking awesome. Maybe they wouldn't have fucking dubbed him the second time so that he actually felt more like a real person. Maybe this would have been a whole different angle and interpretation on Bond that would have knocked my socks off, and I would stand there and happily admit that I was wrong. But I'm going to go with they called it. It gets my imagination pumping those fucking juice units, imagining what this guy would have done with this role further on. Since I'm talking about it this much, in a way, I guess Majesties is sort of growing on me. Because if it wasn't, believe me, by now I would have stopped talking about Lazenby. I criticize Lazenby a lot as to why I never liked Majesties. These days, I'm blaming him less, and I'm blaming some of the writing, some of the decisions. But I think the guy does all right throughout the rest of the movie. He's really not awful. He's just, compared to these fucking titans here, man, like, They just were born to play the role. And Lazenby, I just don't... I just don't see it. Had Roger Moore done an 8th Bond movie, it should have been the most fucking insane thing ever conceived. With everything thrown in the mix. Lasers, nukes, gadgets. Just throw it all at the wall. Throw it all. Enough will stick. The most serious they ever had him was in For Your Eyes Only. And they just still couldn't keep the fucking dumbassery out of there. Then you have Moonraker that can't decide if it's fucking Cartoon Network or Schindler's List. The whole way he was acting in Man with the Golden Gun. And it took 6 movies before they finally found the formula and made it work to its fullest. But by that point, Moore was too long in the tooth after that. He had his fucking face surgery, and he made his 7th movie. A movie that's only redeeming quality is its villains and its title song. So I think had Roger Moore done another movie, that would have been a dumb idea. A dumber idea than him doing A View to a Kill. I mean, my God, imagine Roger Moore in The Living Daylights. I don't ultimately think I'll decide that he is my favorite Bond, but, I mean, my fucking goodness, dude. The guy is just... He just brings something to Bond that none of the others do. His charm is just off the charts. His witticisms, his facial expressions. I don't think anybody quite ever did it like Roger Moore could. So I definitely miss the guy as Bond. I'm glad he did a lot of movies. I would have liked to have seen an 8th one if it was totally along the lines of Octopussy. But, man, if they tried another fucking View to a Kill, no way, man. It was so over by this point. Okay, Timothy Dalton, shooting right up to the top of the list. I'm not even keeping you in suspense about it. This is a no-brainer. One of the biggest tragedies in the history of motion pictures is that Timothy Dalton did not portray James Bond on screen for a 3rd time. I probably have the most respect for Timothy Dalton's Bond over all the other guys because Sean Connery gave up 4 movies in. Lazenby, I just didn't think was the guy for the job. Moore, I think, enjoyed his time in the role more than anybody else, so I appreciate him for that reason. Dalton respected the material and the character more than any other actor, I think. If you said Timothy Dalton was once James Bond, I think most people would be like, who the fuck is that? But man, I fucking believe this dude as an assassin more than the other guys. I think his talent as a actor is better than all the other guys. He's not the best at telling jokes. He's not the best at riding magic carpets down fucking power lines. He's not the best at smiling. He's not the best at being a goddamn Looney Tune. He's not the best at hairstyles or wardrobe. But he is the best at embodying the darkest sides of the James Bond character. Most people say that by the 3rd movie, that's when each of these guys hit their biggest stride, and it's when they're on the top of their form. So what a fucking shame it is that we didn't get to see Dalton get to that point. His 3rd movie should have been the best. I really believe it would have been the best Bond movie of all time. I don't know if it would have been better than GoldenEye, but it would have been pretty fucking good. Now, let's move on to Brosnan. If someone held a fucking gun to my face and said, who's your favorite Bond? Tell me right now or I'll pull the trigger. I'd be like, Brosnan. That would be the first name to come out of my mouth just because he's the one I grew up with and because I do think Brosnan embodies all other Bonds. So I would have liked to have seen Pierce Brosnan do a 5th James Bond movie, and it was totally going to happen. But Daniel Craig swooped in with Casino Royale. It was a complete change of formula, going in a completely different direction, screeching to a halt, bring in Daniel Craig. Now, since I started making this video, I've been thinking about this. Would I rather have opened a mystery box that would be Pierce Brosnan's 5th movie, or would I just play it safe and keep Casino Royale? Well, I fucking would have loved Brosnan to do a 5th movie. And I remember like 20 whatever years ago getting the news that Brosnan was done and Craig is stepping in. And I remember feeling it. I was like, what? Who the fuck is this guy? But would I have loved or been in love with Brosnan's 5th movie? Or would it be as bad as The World Is Not Enough? Sorry. Just had to cast more shade at World Is Not Enough. If you fucking like that movie, more power to you. I wish I got out of it what you got out of it. Regardless of Casino Royale being awesome, I'm still bummed out that we never got to see Brosnan's 5th movie. And shit, man, there's talks that Brosnan might come back someday to play Bond again. And maybe if that did happen, they would certainly have to completely embrace Bond being his age. That would be an interesting dynamic on the character. What would Bond be like if he was elderly? I think it's a shame that Brosnan did not do a fifth movie. Had Craig done a sixth James Bond movie, that would have been the worst fucking James Bond movie of all time, because the fifth one he made was the fucking worst movie of all time. I imagine it would be difficult for Craig to make a sixth Bond film when Bond is fucking dead. Unless he was Zombie Bond. Zombie Bond in space. Why don't we do that? No Time to Die is the Tower of Babel of Bond movies. It constructs this meaningless wonder for its own glory, not for anybody else's. It's not made with any sort of charm or class, and hanging just enough bells and whistles on it that it appears to look like the thing that you want. But it's not. One of the most fascinating aspects about the entire James Bond series for me is that it spans generations. You get to go on a journey, and by the time you reach Quantum, you know that something is really wrong here. And by No Time to Die, what we have here is a long, boring, lousy, compromising, snoozy, shitty, pretentious, nauseating bag of shit that is just another movie that came out in 2021. It is an absolute fucking soulless husk of a movie, a smorgasbord of bland hospital food being shoved down your throat. It would be like having to sit through Catholic Mass while eating Arby's. That's what Daniel Craig's fifth Bond movie was. The guy didn't even like this character by this point. Come discover what it's all been leading to, the death of James Bond, and along the way, a bunch of boring bullshit. No Time to Die, for me, was a homework assignment. The only reason I was able to get through it is because I wanted to just say that I had done it. Like running a fucking marathon. Only you don't feel good after finishing No Time to Die. You feel like your joy has just been fucking vacuum siphoned out your butthole. And then you're just thinking to yourself, what could I have done with my day other than watch this? What the fuck? None of this was earned. All this stuff that we've been building towards was unearned. It's just a boot kicks down the door and in walks the bullshit. I'd say take Craig's sixth movie and fucking give it a ticket to Nowhere Town and send it on its way. And it's actually there right now because we never got it. Thank God. So everyone, this was something different today, and I had fun rambling about this. And I would love to get your thoughts on this subject. Who would you have liked to have seen done one more James Bond movie? And who are you grateful did not do another one? All of it's interesting stuff to me. So everyone, I appreciate you being here, hanging out with me and listening to my rabbles. And wherever you are, whatever time it is, I hope you're having a wonderful day or night.